Holy shit!
So the Stranger Things update looks like it's going to be one of the biggest licensed updates for Dead by Daylight ever, essentially. So without any further ado, let's jump straight into what is happening here. So first, let's talk about the Demogorgon's ability. His ability is that he can place a teleporter, essentially, in 2 places of the map, and then he can move between those 2 places of the map whenever he's standing over that portal. So the Demogorgon can use this to kind of have a lot of map coverage very, very quickly. It does have a little cooldown whilst you're traveling between the portals, and it also limits visibility. It takes a bit of time to move through as well. But overall, this allows the killer, the Demogorgon, to move from one side of the map to the other instantaneously. And also, if they're in a chase and they have the portal set up in an effective way, it allows them to almost wrap around survivors that are running away, and it's going to add for some really, really interesting gameplay. Also, the teleporters do allow you to see survivors that are close by it, which also allows you to jump on them and get the scares. Another thing to say about the portals is they can be destroyed by the survivors. So the survivors, if they find the portal to the upside down that the Demogorgon has placed, they can destroy that portal. But you have to also remember that this is going to give away their aura whilst it's being destroyed to the Demogorgon. And also, whilst you're destroying the portal, you hear no terror radius, which makes this very, very scary indeed. Whilst you're fixing the portal and removing it from the map, you're going to have to be very, very careful, because you never know when that Demogorgon is going to come behind you. You can't hear where it is. The other thing the Demogorgon can do is he can lunge attack, and this is a straightforward lunge, and you can do this in a straight line, so there's no going around corners. It's not like a Billy thing. But he is very, very powerful when he does this lunge. He can cover a lot of distance, and when a survivor thinks they might be out of reach, you can really make up that ground. So this could also be a very effective ability to use. But the more interesting thing about this reveal is the perks that they have covered. So let's go and have a quick look at them. Starting off with the Demogorgon's perks, we firstly have the first perk, Surge. So here it says, putting a survivor into their dying state with a basic attack causes all generators within a 32 meter radius to instantly explode and regress. And this applies an additional regression of 12%, and Surge can only be triggered once every 60, 50 or 40 seconds, which means that you're really going to be putting survivors behind a bit if you manage to do this in a spot where they've worked on generators and got them to a good level, which is very, very powerful indeed. The next one is called Cruel Confinement. So every time a generator is completed, all the windows and vault locations within a 32 meter radius from the completed generator are blocked for all survivors for the next 25, 30 or 35 seconds. You can see the aura of the vault locations blocked by Cruel Confinement for that duration. Now this is going to be a BM perk. I can already sense that this is going to be a perk that is very, very powerful and very dangerous, especially because a survivor obviously won't know that that's going to happen until they pop a gen. And as they mentioned in the reveal, if you're in a shack, for example, and you think that you're going to be able to window loop or pallet loop around an area like that, or if you're in a jungle gym with a lot of windows, this is going to completely cancel that out. So this could be very, very powerful indeed for the killer. So the final killer perk is Mindbreaker. So while repairing generators with less than 50% repair progression, survivors are afflicted by the exhaustion status effect. Any existing exhaustion effect timers are paused while the survivor is repairing a generator, and this effect persists for 1, 2, or 3 seconds after they have ended the repair action. This is going to change the dynamic again. It's going to make it a little bit harder to finish those gens. Unlike the other two perks, which are used to kind of catch the survivors off guard or suddenly hinder them, this one is going to play out a little bit more slowly and be a little bit more sluggish and painful for the survivors to combat against. Now moving on to Steve and Nancy's perks. These are also very cool perks. I'm really loving the look of, well, a combination of these two character's perks. So first off, we have Steve's perks, we have Babysitter. So when you unhook a survivor, the unhooked survivor leaves no scratch marks and blood trail for the next 4, 6, or 8 seconds. You see the killer's aura, and the killer sees your aura for 4 seconds as well. This one is super cool. As they said in the reveal, if you combine this with Borrowed Time, it's going to make for some real altruism in the game. And I really like the fact that you can see the killer and the killer can see you. That is absolutely amazing. You can really play some bait there. And this perk is a hero's perk. I think this is a super cool perk, and I'd love to see what's going to happen when we play with this perk, because it's cool. The next one that Steve has is Camaraderie. So while on a hook and reaching the struggle phase, the perk activates. So it only activates once a game, that is. While the perk is activated, if at any time during the struggle phase another survivor comes within 16 meters from your hook, the struggle phase timer is paused for 10, 12, or 14 seconds. This is a more simple perk, just gives you a little bit extra time on the hook if you need it. But, it will play out to your advantage if you're playing kind of long hook games where survivors are kind of doing what they're doing and only waiting till the last second to save you. This will help play in clutch for those kind of gameplay styles. The final Steve perk is Second Wind. So when you complete one health state of healing on other survivors, the perk activates. When activated, the next time you get unhooked or unhook yourself, you're affected by the broken status effect. And while outside the terror radius, the perk passively heals you up to 100% healthy state over a duration of 24, 22, or 20 seconds. And the perk deactivates once you're fully healed, or if you get downed before the healing is complete. You lose the broken status effect. So you can kind of use Second Wind instead of self-care or a medkit and just take that broken status effect for the 20 seconds and come out healed, which is interesting. It changes the gameplay and it changes the mechanic of, self-healing. So again, that's going to be a really interesting perk to integrate into a perk build. Next, we have Nancy's perks, and these are more kind of strong, being brave kind of perks to reflect her character in Stranger Things. So the first perk here is Better Together. And this one, the aura of the generator you're currently repairing is revealed to all of the survivors located within 32 meters. If the killer downs a survivor while you're repairing a gen, you see the aura of all other survivors for 8, 9, or 10 seconds. This is going to be a useful one. There's not much to say about it, but when auras are revealed, it always helps the gameplay, and this is definitely a useful perk. Seeing other survivors' auras and seeing generators' auras, that's always useful for the survivors when they want to get an upper hand, especially when you're working on a gen, you want someone to come and help you complete it. That is going to really help that. The next perk is Fixated, and this one is simple. You can see your own scratch marks at all times, and while uninjured, you walk 10, 15, or 20% faster than normal, which is a pretty good perk. This is going to lead to some interesting mind games, I can definitely tell. All those scratch marks that you'll be able to see, you'll know exactly what the killer is seeing, and also you walk faster. That's pretty good. That's a pretty useful perk, and I can see a lot of people wanting to use that, especially at higher level gameplay, to kind of outsmart the killer and implement some interesting mind games. And the final perk that Nancy has is Inner Strength. So each time you complete a totem cleanse, Inner Strength activates. And while Inner Strength is active, hiding inside a locker for 10, 9, or 8 seconds while injured will fully heal you. And Inner Strength becomes deactivated as soon as it has successfully triggered. Now this one is also very cool because it gives the totem cleansing a purpose. The totem cleanse doesn't have that big of a role in Dead by Daylight aside from hexes. So the fact that you can now go to a totem, cleanse it, and then hide in a locker and, heal a full state, that is a very powerful perk, and that is going to be very useful. I can see that being very useful. If, you're hidden in a locker as well and the killer doesn't have a perk to see you, doesn't know where you are, then, it's going to be simple heals that. So again, that doesn't quite replace self-care the same way that Steve's perk does, Second Wind, but this is definitely a cool perk, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. The other cool thing that was mentioned, I'm just going to quickly breeze over on this, was Hawkins Lab, and it looks like a very, very scary map. A lot of tight corners, a lot of straight lines, but, you know, very claustrophobic, very kind of layered as well. There's more than one floor, and there are balconies and stuff, so you can see each other from different floors, from what they say. So overall, these perks, very, very cool, very different. I just can't wait to see how these ones play out. And I think that we're all going to have a lot of fun playing with these ones. This is going to be a big update, I can sense it, for Dead by Daylight. Please like if you enjoyed the video and learned something about Dead by Daylight's new update. Subscribe for more content like this, and we will see you in the next one. Peace out.